Think about how ludicrous it was that New York State, in a post 9/11 world, would actually prohibit officers under the Department of Homeland Security from accessing the New York DMV database, hindering opportunities for an investigation or to pursue a criminal. If you're a Border Patrol agent at the border in Canada and you see a car with New York plates approaching and you can't scan those plates, Kathy Hochul wants you to go get a judicial warrant at that moment somehow to scan those plates. It is absolutely ludicrous that New York State Democrats continue to tie the hands of our law enforcement, and they've also tied the hands of local law enforcement, prohibiting them from cooperating with these federal authorities, or they could lose state money. So again, they're always putting people in the country illegally above the public safety interests of our state, our nation, and its citizens. Not to mention, when you apply for a driver's license under the green light law, your application automatically goes to the Board of Elections for voter registration unless you opt out. Now, you're assuming that everyone who's filling out this application now understands the language, that they know what they're opting out of, and that creates another level of chaos, which we know as New York City, we're fighting in court right now to stop non-citizens from voting. We won twice in court, and now in the third round, the highest court of appeals to stop it again. And hopefully, I believe we'll win that because it is unconstitutional, but they just don't stop their antics.
Nope, they don't. But that's why they're screaming so loud at all this being uncovered. And another thing, so you had the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. She just rescinded, she clawed back $59 million that went to New York City for housing and hotel rooms for migrants. And here's the rub, though. This payment went out after Trump took office and after he ordered all of this type of funding frozen. So, I mean, the deep state does what it wants to do, which is why they are going ballistic when Musk is unearthing these things.
Yeah, think about how we have homeless Americans, we have homeless veterans, we have our fellow Americans who are victims of natural disasters. That's where this money should be going to, and that's what Congress intended it to be used for. But you have these federal bureaucrats in these agencies that give this money, oftentimes whether it's to sanctuary cities or to non-government organizations, and they spend this money like on all sorts of stuff. I mean, it even goes so far as to helping pay for people who are here legally, mortgages, cars, scooters, all sorts of things that they were receiving when you have the hardworking taxpayer who's not only footing the bill, but they're having difficulty paying for those things for their own families. So it really was a slap in the face. Thankfully, we have President Trump now at the helm, and because his executive branch is serious about cutting this waste and abuse, he's opening up those books, because this had been hidden from Congress all these years under Joe Biden. We would bring these individuals in for hearing, we would ask for accountability, we'd ask for answers, and we would get nothing. They were doing this, and they would not have any accountability because they had no transparency, but that has now ended.
So I want to get your thoughts on this. You know, you got one New York elected official who is doing something, at least. That's the mayor, Eric Adams. He could be facing repercussions. Here's what Governor Hochul had to say about the mayor's at least somewhat cooperation in the wake of the DOJ dropping the corruption charges against him. Watch this.
You are the only person who has the power to effectively fire Mayor Eric Adams and remove him from this position, which might conceivably moot this whole fight.
This is unbelievably unprecedented for the Department of Justice in Washington to interfere in this way. I need some time to process this and figure out the right approach.
It's amazing. These are the people who say democracy is at stake, right? You know, so, I mean, she's thinking of getting rid of Eric Adams because he's enforcing the law, but she would never even think of giving the boot to the Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, who literally put on paper on his first day that he's going to skirt all the laws and not prosecute a bunch of crimes. How do you see this unfolding with Adams?
Well, and that is exactly what I was going to say. Here you have a governor who is looking to remove our mayor, who finally is cooperating. I've been very critical of him. I've taken him to task on so many things, like housing migrants in the city hotels at taxpayer expense and not cooperating with ICE, even when they had the ability to for violent criminals. But what I would say is, the guy's finally doing something right. He's cooperating with federal authorities to enforce our laws, to protect our city and its citizens. And here come the woke Democrats of New York trying to now put pressure for the governor to remove him. And then you have Alvin Bragg, who abused his power, who released rioters, who just created such chaos on the streets of our city, who refuses to actually enforce the law, and he has dropped half of his charges have been dropped down to plea deals or lowered. And so what I would say is, this is what you have when you have these left-wing radicals who are running our city and state. And the governor should not cave here to them. The governor should try to do the right thing for once as well. She should repeal the green light law. She should repeal the state sanctuary status. She should say all our law enforcement will cooperate to deport criminals who are dangerous in our city and state. And she should work with Mayor Adams and President Trump to enforce these laws and get rid of these people who are wreaking havoc. We've had gang members, criminal cartels. We've had people who shot at our police officers. None of this is okay. Laken Riley's murderer was released here in New York because of the radical bail law that she refuses to repeal. So put the public safety of our New Yorkers and American citizens first for once. That is what the public has told you in poll after poll after poll that they want you to do. And think about this. Donald Trump right now has a higher approval rating than Kathy Hochul.
Yeah.
She should think about this, and she's up for re-election next year.
Yeah, could you